Elio has put theatrically animated movies in a precarious position. Pixar's latest release has been the company's worst performing film at the box office at the time of this recording, struggling to come even close to making back its $150 million budget. Subsequent finger-pointing as to who's to blame has run rampant. The official Pixar Instagram account posted a video the week before the movie released saying, "Stop complaining that Disney doesn't make original stories if you don't show up to see them in movie theaters and support them in the first place." Fans have noted the listless advertising campaign, with most unaware the movie was already on its way out of theaters, and some having no idea it existed at all. Recent history exemplifies the points made by both sides, but also the holes in each of their arguments. Onward, Lightyear, and Elemental all faced difficulties at the box office, even though their post-release lives began and ended in vastly different ways. 2020's Onward was an original film that underperformed by at least $30 million below its budget. The 2022 film, Lightyear, an origin story based on the beloved and well-established Toy Story franchise's character Buzz Lightyear, lost money as well. But 2023's Elemental, an original idea from the company, started out looking to be another financial disappointment, but wound up making over $300 million above its budget. Now, of course, each film went through its own extenuating circumstances, and this is only looking at Pixar films specifically, not counting ones released by other companies that have had their own peaks and valleys. But the larger point here is that there is no surefire type of movie to release that's guaranteed to catch audiences' attention. Original ideas, sequels, spin-offs, sometimes they're hits, sometimes they're misses. But Elio's faceplant has me looking to the future of animation, and I believe 3 films are going to have a significant hand in providing guidance for companies on which kinds of animated films they're going to be more willing to make going forward. Smurfs, Cat in the Hat, and Hoppers are all releasing within the next calendar year, with each taking different approaches as to what kind of stories they adapt and their marketing pushes, while all hoping for the same results: critical acclaim, but most importantly, financial reward. There are obviously going to be a lot of animated movies released within the time frame we're talking about, and many that are being worked on currently. I'm not saying this is going to alter those plans or move them straight to streaming, but we may see the industry decide to go with what works. To get a better idea of what we can expect, we'll go through the trailers for each film, see what content they offer, and how they're marketed, and at the end, I'll tell which film I think will come out on top and set the guiding path for cartoons to come. Before getting started, I want to be fully transparent about the lens I'll be looking at these movies through. I am not the biggest fan of 3D animated movies. I have a preference for 2D, not only look-wise, but also content, comedic, and story-wise. I'll get into specifics about what I like and don't like in each video, but I wanted to give that disclaimer before moving forward. We begin with our first trailer for Smurfs, and before we see any Smurfs, we see Rihanna dancing and laughing in a voice recording booth. The marketing push for this movie, which has been pretty ample, has been centered around Rihanna starring a Smurfette. Full discretion, I'm not immersed in pop culture whatsoever. I know Rihanna is a famous singer, and animated movies featuring celebrities isn't a new concept. It's usually for their talents, sometimes to help sell the film to the public, but ideally both. The amount of promotion to let people know Rihanna is going to star in this movie makes it seem like she's going to have a major role and that her performance is going to be a highlight of the film. But from the few clips they show us of her uttering a few words in a row, maybe the trailer isn't doing her justice, but from what has been shown, it doesn't do anything to inspire me to see the movie because of her.
We gotta rescue Papa!
Let's go smurf that wizard up.
The plot seems to be the standard Smurf affair. Gargamel is after the Smurfs, only this time, it looks like he's opened up a rift in time and space to do so. There's a scene of him at the Intergalactic Evil Alliance Wizard meeting, which is an old boardroom, and the other members call Gargamel lame. Call me jaded, but having characters call things lame and exist in a world just like us, not taking things or other characters seriously, I don't think it's bad. I just think the idea is so played out, it's uninteresting now. When I think of the Smurfs world, I don't think of water coolers and staplers. I think of a magical land. We finally get our first look at the Smurfs. I do like how their eyes and mouths are animated, looking very close to their comic book origins. A dance number quickly follows with a new song by Rihanna, and maybe it's exciting for Rihanna fans to have new music, but is this the new kind of music from her that fans are looking for? Maybe the song will end up being quite good, but I'd rather listen to it on its own than sit and watch it in a movie for 30 seconds with characters assumedly talking over it. And are people still interested in cartoon dance parties? Maybe little kids will get a kick out of seeing something like that for the first time, but for anyone who's seen an animated movie over the past 20 years, it's just more of the same. Smurf puns return in full force. What the Smurf? I just smurfed my pants. And I know that's in line with their cartoons, but we've had decades of comics, cartoons, live action movies, another animated feature. There has to be some other kind of jokes we can make besides filling in phrases and curses with variations of the word Smurf, right? Surprisingly, the Smurfs go into the real world again, this time staying in their animated form, bypassing their more realistic versions from the live action movies in favor of staying animated, which is probably a good move. And we're also introduced to a new group of characters, the Snooterpoots, this movie's versions of the Minions. They're small, adorable, fluffy little monsters, as random as the minions they're modeled after, even randomly shouting cake at one point, the same way the minions say banana. And the only reason they're here is to hopefully become popular enough for the studio to release merchandise of them for years to come. We get a few more celebrity appearances, and some of the animation, the fire specifically, looks nice in a cartoony way. But overall, this trailer is exactly what Hollywood puts out when it wants to make a lot of money with not a lot of effort or artistic integrity. I'm anticipating an interchangeable, run-of-the-mill Smurf comedy that will be right in line with the other movies, for better or for worse. The parade of movies based on well-known properties continues with Warner Bros.' Cat in the Hat, releasing in 2026. Right away, the art style is noticeably different, but in a good way. They did a nice job keeping the color palette the same as in the book. The tower looks unique, and there's a lot to look at as the cat flies into the city. The cat's design is pretty good too. I'm actually surprised to see the art style looking like cel shading, and reminds me a lot of the PlayStation game Sly Cooper, the way the cat looks. Having said that, it does look a bit cheap, but honestly, I'm so happy to see characters look different than what we usually get from animated films. It's a breath of fresh air. Of course, our time with the cat is interrupted by a snarky side character. We really can't go one movie without having a marketable side companion to the main character. I know this is a long-standing tradition, but at this point, they're all just blurring together. They're either all Minions, or all Olafs, or some variation of the two. And it's made me start longing for the days of solo adventures, or at least silent helpers. And I know this green character only gets one line, but I can already see it on a poster with its arms crossed. And this is followed by my largest issue with the movie, when we see the cat check into the Institute for the Institution of Imagination and Inspiration. Referencing the book for a moment, the cat was obviously the star, but the story was about the kids and being able to responsibly balance fun with restraint when they're on their own. Their pet goldfish showing being too cautious is no fun, and the cat showing that too much of a good thing can simply be too much sometimes. We see a ranking system in the background, so I'll go ahead and venture a guess that this must be something like imaginary friend tier rankings, and the cat is on a mission to regain the top spot from a would-be rival. It kind of reminds me of Monsters, Inc. The difference with that movie, though, is that it was a new property, so Mike and Sully weren't these mythic figures to us, or in their own world even, so them being regular Joes is believable to everybody. This movie's misstep is taking the angle of explaining what the Cat in the Hat is, which is the complete antithesis of the character, and stripping the mystery away from the cat doesn't make him feel special. The trailer shows the Institute full of similar animals with their own stripe markers, which I do think is fun, specifically Bug in a Mug, but it emphasizes the point of how unspectacular the cat is in his own world. He's just another employee, a cog in the machine, and that seems like the exact opposite of what the Cat in the Hat stands for. We used to not know who he was or where he came from, but now that we're getting an origin story, the more we get to know him, the more ordinary he'll become. Now that we know this is his job, are we going to get his backstory too, where he was bullied as a kid and now he wants to bring joy to people? Is it going to be revealed his name is Donald Archibald Wilson? It may help for making a more fleshed out character in a longer movie, but it's at the expense of what made the character identifiable in the first place. And by taking that away, it makes it feel like there's nothing sacred left for this movie. We get to meet the cat a little bit as well, and that trait of I'm a loser but it's cool personality, noted in the moment where they talk about the cat losing 3 giraffes, but he whispers it was actually 5. It's another one of those overdone character traits. Just like the Smurfs, he goes into the quote-unquote real world, as we'll call it, to entertain a pair of children. The kids mace him before he says, go to the montage, which is another joke about breaking the fourth wall that's been done ad nauseum. And of course, we get the classic mishearing of what characters are saying, but I'll give it a pass because they somehow successfully found a way to put toot and fart back to back in the same sentence. The trailer ends by introducing the Things, and a whole group of them now actually, and they do a silly little dance and are most likely going to be this movie's minions, while the young boy and fish scream together. I'll give Cat in the Hat credit. It seems like a competently made movie. It's interesting visually, aside from the humans you see in every 3D movie, but I do like some of the art direction, specifically the colors in the cat's world. Bill Hader is a good choice as the cat, and I wish they would showcase him for this movie the way they are for Rihanna in the Smurfs, but I think it's a good sign they're advertising the movie instead of the casting. Finally, we come to a Pixar original, Hoppers. The trailer opens on a girl who looks straight out of Big Hero 6, and I'm going to make 2 conflicting observations. Graphically, I am blown away by the environments shown here. Look at the schematics on the table. That may be the most realistic inanimate objects I've ever seen in an animated film. It's beyond stunning. With that said, how can you have such remarkable lifelike surroundings, but the most generic looking characters? The scientists have no distinguishing facial features or skin textures. There's no wrinkles, no blemishes. The bags under the one woman's eyes are a nice starting point, but I feel like these character designs are more focused on character shapes over visible traits. Part of me thinks it's because they want all of their characters to be attractive, meaning they want them to be clean and sanitized. I'm not an animator, but look at the old man from Up. A few wrinkles, a jowl, and a big nose. He's immediately identifiable. Here, we have one girl with freckles, and it makes me realize I do not want smooth-skinned people in these movies anymore. Maybe it's easier to animate or inexpensive, but this is one reason I love 2D animation so much more. I know it's a completely separate art style, but you can still choose how to make your character stand out, and for me, this doesn't do it. The story here goes that you can put your consciousness into a 3D printer model of an animal and interact with the other animals. They make a joke that it's like Avatar, and I get that it's a joke, and I guarantee it'll get laughs in the theater, but even if the idea is the same, mentioning it because you think people will be saying that about your movie anyway, it feels like insecure to me from a writing standpoint. Speaking of jokes, maybe I'm a bit cynical, but when the 2 scientists do their little, we put this into this, it's so over the top. I just know it's gonna end with somebody saying, okay, alright, stop, I get it. I miss the days of Toy Story, where they could just talk and have that be where the humor lied, instead of these totally fantastical, unbelievable ways people talk in these movies now. The girl hops into the fake beaver, and I'll say it again, these environments look incredible, specifically the lighting, the water, and the ground. It really may be the best I've ever seen to this point, which is why it pains me to see the rest of the animals look so plain. Look at the deer, for instance. Make their eyes small and realistic, or big and covered in shaggy eyebrows. It's such a waste of this beautiful world to have such ordinary looking creatures. The girl, now in the beaver's body, is rightfully excited, and it's cute, and she's a good foil to the completely lethargic beaver she meets. When the new beaver's attacked by a bear, our heroine rescues him, upsetting the natural order of things, which could actually be a pretty heady movie introducing free will into the wild. It definitely has potential, so I hope they choose not to pander to kids, and instead go down this more thoughtful route. At the end of the trailer comes a joke where the beaver turns off her communicator and the scientist says, "She found the button." That joke, the delivery, everything about it, is right on par with the Star Wars "they fly now" joke. And that's what a lot of the humor strikes me as, sort of this look how awkward everything is kind of tone. You have, we put this into this. The bear attacks the beaver, and after the beaver says, "You still wanna," in reference to eating him, and the bear goes, "It's weird now." That's how this and most Pixar movies choose to be comedically. It's not for me, I know this, and I think it is a type of comedy that speaks to many people, especially that have grown up with it, so I'm sure people will like it just fine. But everything about this trailer screams Pixar, from the look of the characters to the humor, which makes it a bit disappointing. It feels like Pixar needs to do something different, and while this is a bag of successful tricks, it's ones that have been done many times in the past. Despite my personal misgivings, I do think this has the most potential, seeing how it isn't beholden to any previous IPs. But will it be enough to get back on the public's favorable side? Out of these 3 movies, I believe the one with the best chance of success is Smurfs. Not for anything it does on the basis of originality, but because it's as close to a mathematical formula for a Hollywood movie that can possibly be. The Smurfs have proven to be an immensely profitable franchise, earning over $1.1 billion across the first 3 movies. If this latest Smurfs movie is anything like that, it'll be a movie that doesn't last in anyone's mind longer than the time it's in theaters. But with how much these movies make, that's plenty fine with Paramount. I think Cat in the Hat will be the funniest, Bill Hader and Bowen Yang are extremely talented, and it looks like a fresh take on a classic story. Hoppers to me is the movie with the most to gain or lose. If this movie bombs like Elio has so far, what does the future look like for Pixar going forward? Will they be able to release original movies anymore? Or will they have to live off their popular existing IPs? We've already got a 5th Toy Story movie coming out, and 2 Inside Outs. How many more of these movies can they realistically make? And truth be told, I'm not interested in any of these movies. But to be fair to them, I will watch them and do a video on each one when they come out, and if audiences responded the way the studios were hoping for. But I will say, I do hope all 3 of them succeed. Whether I like them or not, I want more good theatrically released cartoons, and the only way to get that is for people to go out and see them. And here's to hoping everybody wins.